I'm sure you read plenty of addenda, right? That's the
Yeah.
kind of the classic way an applicant would address a low GPA or even a low LSAT score, which I think in general is harder to address.
Yeah.
What made for a good one? Let's take first the low GPA. What made for a good addenda?
Yeah, the low GPA, I think some of the issues that I previously alluded to, like was something going on in that young person's life? Sometimes it's an eating disorder or mental illness or undiagnosed ADD or a parental situation or abusive. I mean, there's so many different things. These are young people. These are kids, kind of almost on their own for the first time, typically, not always. And so things do happen. And the ones where these are significant enough, they write about them persuasively, and like I say, there's some way to show that that's no longer dragging that person down. Even the addiction thing. I mean, I know that can be tricky because addictions can relapse, et cetera. But I read some very, very convincing addenda or personal statement, because it depends on the approach the person takes, where I thought, this person owns it, shows that it's behind them, and shows that they didn't live up to their potential for a real reason, and now is probably willing and able to do so. So those are the kinds of things that I think work.
What makes for a bad
I'm
addendum?
talking GPA still.
Yeah,
Sure.
we'll get to the LSAT in a minute.
Yeah, a bad one. And usually they weren't terrible. I did have a couple terrible ones that I really thought, oh Lord, they should have not done one at all. Well, typically, I think if you're above the median, you should probably not do one. Don't point out the one bad grade, even if you're above median, because nobody's going to notice that or particularly care. At least I certainly didn't.
What
So
if it's
that
an
was
F?
bad. I'm sorry.
What if it's an F?
Yeah, possibly, especially if you can say, and then I retook it and I got an A, or B.
Right,
It, yes, it would be rare that you have straight A's and an F and
right,
so you're above median at a highly selective
right,
school.
right.
But yes, if you're talking a different ranking school, maybe the GPA is a little lower. Yeah, you've got an F or two. You might want to say something. I think an F is worth explaining. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
more in the context of a C. It may not be one individual.
Right, especially in your freshman year.
Yeah. Those were also good ones where there really was an upward trend. Going back to that, if you could show that freshman year was just tough, but every single semester you just went up and up and up, I think that's useful as well. We can see that with our own eyes when we assess the transcript, but that might be worth saying.
Right. And the bad addenda. What again? I
Oh,
don't think we
right.
quite hit that.
Yeah, you blame the professor, you blame someone else. You're just not taking responsibility for the GPA. The ones that also weren't great were the ones where, I was partying too much and didn't take my college degree seriously. I probably could intuit that from the grades, but I don't know if those were that useful. And
How
if you're
about the
just,
ones? How about the ones where the ones I love are I was so busy with extracurricular activities.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
volunteering. I learned so much. I had so much great responsibility. I just didn't have time for my classes.
yeah, probably not the best approach in law school. Now, had they, again, if they did that and then showed a great couple years of work history, great LORs around their work, yes, we know kids are young, they do unwise things from time to time, and it's fine as long as there's something to kind of convince us that that's behind them.
I think there's also a difference if somebody says, I I learned a lot from my community service activities, but I did not manage my time well, and I did not give my classes the attention I should have. And since then, I've learned my lesson. I've done, X, Y, and Z. I had a great work record, whatever. Rather than I do it all over again, because I was so
Yeah,
involved. That's
yeah,
another
a couple
thing.
people do that, and I would do it again because it was so valuable. I don't know. I mean, you do if you're going to be in school and you're going to be in law school, you've got to do well.
Yeah,
So it's probably worth pointing that out. Sometimes it's also employment. They had to work 40
that's
hours,
something else. That's something
and
else.
that's significant. And that means something.
Yeah,
That's something worth writing about. If you can say that you don't have to work in law school, then that's a good thing to include because it is hard to work in law school and especially a lot. Some law schools don't even allow it for the first year, and certainly many do. But yeah, there are ways to point out as long as you're pointing out how you're no longer doing that same thing.
right,
That's
right.
helpful. Yeah.
and taking responsibility.
Yeah.
What about